All right, guys, this is a special treat. Joining us here is a man behind SBG Charleston, the man behind Nuka, the man that you know from his amazing career in his MMA run in Europe, and also a man that will be in Conor McGregor's corner as he returns at T-Mobile this weekend, UFC 246. And Owen, before we get into it, I have to say, the first time we met you, I believe it was UFC 202, people getting to know you through the blogs and through your amazing work, and everybody's flipping out because there's no blogs.
I've got death threats and all. Where's the blogs, Roddy? Where's the backstage stuff?
Yeah, Colby Covington had to rent out his security so you can make it at the door, so I'm happy that you're still alive. But how does it feel all these years later? We're back here yet again for another Conor McGregor fight week. I mean, you mentioned it before, how every fight week you're trying to enjoy it because it's this craziness. Was there a part of you that thought, hey, especially last year, maybe this won't sort of happen for a while? Maybe I won't get to experience something like this again?
No, I mean, there's been a lot of talk of fights all last year, the whole of 2019. We were getting revved up and then something would happen and, you know, we go back down and then it's like, oh, we're looking at this and then revved up again. So we're always just on the cusp of getting a fight confirmed. And then once we got it confirmed, then it was like, right, jump back on the roller coaster. It's time to have a bit of fun, you know. So yeah, it's exciting to be back in Vegas and we're ready and prepared to do it on Saturday night, so can't wait.
It's interesting because the team's obviously evolving, the training's evolving. It seems like you guys took a lot of lessons from the last camp, and now you've brought in, or Conor's brought in, Phil Sutcliffe from Crumlin Boxing Gym. I'm wondering, what is it like sort of collaborating and working with Phil? You know, the phrase, too many cooks spoil the broth, you know, sort of comes when there's so many different trainers. How do you guys sort of toe the line and make sure that everything works and Conor's not being pulled in so many different directions?
Yeah, and at first I was thinking the same. Maybe it's just is there too many? But working with Phil and when Phil came in on the team, he fit perfectly. You know, I think the key to keeping things going smoothly is communication. Everybody talking to each other, everybody getting the point across and discussing it as a unit. You know what I mean? And you know, Phil has 50 years plus experience in boxing. I mean, if we can't learn something from somebody that has that amount of knowledge, then we're doing something wrong, you know what I mean? So we're all picking up something from Phil. I
feel like he holds that over you, by the way. What? Anytime you bring anything up against Phil, he's like, you know, I've done this for 50 years, right? How old are you? Oh, and I've done this more than your life, buddy. Yeah,
most definitely. I tell you what, when I have 50 years knowledge, I'll be doing that to everyone else as well.
We're doing an interview. You come over, hey, I've been doing this for 50 years.
Yeah, you know, but he's smart. He's intelligent. He knows he knows the game. You know, he knows the boxing game and the striking game. So, yeah, it's great. Like as I said, the key has been communication amongst the whole team, and that's always been the case with Conor's camps. Like I talk to John and Sergey and Conor and be like, okay, what do you think of this? Well, he might be open, you know, if you throw that shot, he might be open to a takedown, Sergey might say, or, you know, vice versa. If there's a takedown, he might be open to a guillotine or something. So we all communicate, we all relay it back to Conor. Conor relays his thoughts to us, and whatever works we keep, whatever doesn't work we discard and move on.
There was this notion that like Conor's sort of running his own camp. It is how, I mean, you're smiling. How accurate is that? Because it sounds like it's more a collaborative effort just based on what you're telling us.
I think what John said was taken out of context. Like, you know what I mean? The camp has always been been run exactly the same as it's always been run. You know, but with the only difference being we're all communicating a little bit more. We're all letting each other, you know our thoughts and stuff like that. And Conor's been very, very vocal on his thoughts and on what he sees in Cerrone, where the threats are and where the openings are, and that's it really, you know.
It's interesting, the buzzword I think for this whole week has been communication. Like Conor McGregor's like, there's a lot of communication between all of us. But then he brings up this crazy story from the last fight camp where apparently he had a bunch of guys in a house, and then every like 3 days he said he'd bring guys out, he'd knock someone out in training, take 3 days off, come back, do it again, and not really focus outside of training. I'm just wondering, what was that?
Yeah, well,
like,
basically what was happening was
he
was going in and just sparring hard, like, you know what I mean?
Like actually knocking people out?
Yeah. Well, people were trying to knock him out, you know what I mean, as well. We were just bringing in, bringing in people that we didn't really know. Do you know what I mean? Which is not really a good thing, you know, because if you bring somebody in from the outside that's not in this, you know, this tight knit that we've created over the past, you know, 15 years, you bring somebody in from the outside, you don't know what their agenda is, and everybody has an agenda. So people are coming in, and you know, are they coming in to try and get one up on Conor and try and crack him or try and hurt him or something like that? And Conor knows that, and he's not going to take any shit like that. So he's going in and he's like, if it's going to come like that on me, I'm gonna put it straight back on people. And he was flattening people, and then just going home, you know. So it wasn't the way this camp is. This camp is, we've all the same people around us that we've worked with for years. They know their role. They know what shots we want them to throw. They know they have to mimic Cerrone in every way possible. And then Conor's being calculated and landing shots, you know. So it's been a phenomenal camp, really has.
What do you think of this notion? Because people are sort of looking at Cerrone as a bit of a warm-up fight for Conor McGregor's season. What do you think of that notion?
No, it's definitely not. You know, Cerrone's very good everywhere. He's tricky, and you know, so that when the fight gets announced, I'm like, okay, let me get onto Fight Pass and look at all his fights and stuff, and then you realise how good he is, and
You'd
and
still
all
be
the,
looking at them now. There's about 1,000.
What?
On Fight Pass, about 1,000 fights.
Yeah, I'm up to was what?
It's like
his
Game of Thrones. You're working your way all the way through to the end.
You know, but obviously I think everyone has been watching Cerrone, you know, throughout the years and stuff. But when you look at him in detail, you see he's crafty, and he's got good little setups and little tricks that he likes to play on people, and he likes to keep people guessing and stuff like that. So I've watched them extensively, and we all have, and we believe that we have shots that are going to land, and we have a good game plan that's going to be able to push Cerrone away.
It was interesting. Conor McGregor was talking to Aaron Bronstetter yesterday, and he kind of said that he wouldn't mind this fight to last a little bit longer, so he can kind of get something out of it, you know, because if it's quick, then he doesn't sort of get those minutes in, fight minutes. But from your perspective, also, if you're there for a while, that can also be a little bit, I mean, that could work against the game plan. So is that do you speak to him about that? Do you go, look, I know you want to get the most out of this, but also, you know, Cerrone gets better as the fight goes on, and
No, you know what, the game plan is always to go in and land your shots and put them away, and stay focused on that no matter what is thrown your way. You know what I mean? So once Conor stays focused, he doesn't deviate away from the plan. The shots will land, and then it's like everybody else, it's only a matter of time before the finish comes, you know. So once Conor stays focused and does that, you know, I'll be happy.
It is pretty fascinating, right? Because if you ask, you know, most casuals or even experts where Conor is most dangerous, it's in those early rounds. If you had to make a prediction, it'd be, you know, probably early knockout if Conor was to win. And obviously John Kavanagh said he expects maybe it'll go a little bit later. Like Dennis mentioned, Conor wouldn't mind sort of stretching it out a little bit. But if there were questions that people had around Conor's game, it would be how he looks in the later rounds. You know, how will that cardio hold up? How do you see Conor doing sort of in those later rounds if Cowboy can sort of survive the early storm and it does go to, say, 3, 4, 5?
Well, like I have people that question that all the time. Or, you know, what happens when it gets to the 4th and 5th, or the 3rd, 4th and 5th? Conor in the second Diaz fight, he went 5-5s with basically the Terminator. Diaz just walks forward. You could hit him with a car, you could hit him with anything, and he'll still get up and keep moving forward. And Conor looked phenomenal in that fight. Yeah, he had to rest a little bit. I think it was in the 3rd round. He took it off a little bit, but you know, everyone would have to do that. You know what I mean? When you're going to the pace. So I don't see that being any issue. Once Conor stays focused, whether it's in the 4th round or the 5th round, he has the potential to put Cerrone away.
The weight class 170. Some people are saying it could be an advantage to Cowboy Cerrone. What do you think about it when you see people say, why is it 170? This could be the big mistake going into this fight, doing 170. Why would Conor try 170? He's not a 170 fighter. What's your reaction when you hear that?
Well, as you said, 170, the second Diaz fight, he looked phenomenal at 170. Against Diaz, that I'd say was a lot bigger than 170 when he walked in. And Conor's power carries on up into that weight. He's quicker, he's more agile, he's faster than these 170 guys. So, you know, why not? And for us now, I think, and for Conor now, it's about enjoying it and not killing himself to make weight. for unnecessary reasons. You know what I mean? Yeah, maybe if it was a title fight or something like that, yeah, he'll do what needs to be done, like he always has done. But if there's no need to do it, he feels confidence. He feels confident. He carries the power up to that weight. He'll be quicker. He'll be more agile. He'll be more evasive than these guys. And you know, why not do it then? You know what I mean?
I remember at UFC 205, we asked Conor McGregor about, you know, if he wants all the belts on the table. Tyron Woodley was the champion then. He said all the belts. And he saw Woodley was a bit like, it didn't quite work out. And there was a little bit of a thing, I believe, at the early weigh-ins where McGregor was sort of testing the water there. And now you got Kamaru Usman as the champ. He's going to be here during Fire Week. And you got Jorge Masvidal. He's going to be cage side, the BMF champ, looking for a fight with Conor McGregor. Do you see Conor McGregor sticking around 170? Does a fight with a guy like Jorge interest you?
Well, I'd imagine so, yeah. You got to go with what Conor feels, you know what I mean, and what he wants to do and what he enjoys. And he's always been known for doing crazy things, and you know, who knows, he might jump back in the boxing. He might go down to 70. You just never know, and I don't know. And you know, I don't even know if Conor does know. I'm sure he has a plan in his head that he'll let us all in on when he's good and ready. But yeah, they're two phenomenal fighters, Masvidal and Usman. Yeah, you know, they pose a lot of threats, but like anyone in the game, there is holes in everyone's game, and it's just about spending enough time and watching them and looking for the holes in the game and trying to capitalise on that. So it would be exciting to see one of them in there, yeah.
Well, I was going to say on that, do you think those are winnable fights for Conor? Because I know that MMA is one of those sports where it's like, it's a what have you done for me lately, right? And Masvidal's on this crazy tear, Usman's on this crazy tear. So people look at those guys as just absolute killers. I feel like it'd take a big win to sort of remind people of what Conor's capable of. Do you see Conor being able to win, you know, either the BMF belt from Masvidal, if Masvidal puts it up, or the welterweight belt from Usman?
Yeah. I as I said, like, we're kind of carrying the weight, carrying the power up to that way. If he touches people on the chin, you know, they're either out or they're close to being out, and then he's like a sniper. He's just waiting. So, I mean, he can do that on anyone. Do you know what I mean? And I've seen him do it with big guys, with light heavyweights, with middleweights, you know, with welterweights. It's phenomenal. And you know, I've been hit a couple of years ago back in the day. I've been hit by them as well, and I've been hit by big guys as well. And there's something different about when you're hit clean by Conor.
He threw the flying knee against Khabib before Masvidal ever threw it. It just missed a little bit. People don't really realise if you go back and watch the footage,
right?
That's
right. Yeah, Jesus, yeah. When you think about it.
You hold pads for him. How much of a difference are you feeling in power with him at this weight class? And I know people sort of said, well, he didn't knock out Nate Diaz. Does his power sort of transfer at 170? But do you think part of it is just because it is Nate Diaz and I think
it is. I just like nobody's knocked Diaz out clean, and he's been hit with everything. He's just so durable, and he's just hardy. Do you know what I mean? But I've seen it in the gym. I've seen him fight big guys. I've seen him land on big guys, and I see the same reaction every time. They get hit and they're dropped, or they get hit and then the fear sets in, and then Conor smells that. He'll smell fear, and then he'll set you up. You know, he'll throw one or two fakes, or he'll throw something at you, and before you know it, he's got your reaction recorded, and then he's going to put you away. You know, so I think he can do it on anyone.
Speaking of anyone, I mean, McGregor was talking to Ariel Helwani in a great interview, and he mentioned how things almost came together with him and Manny Pacquiao at one point. I'm just wondering, did you know much about this?
No, I don't really know much about that. No, I've heard rumours myself about like potential. This was after the Mayweather fight. I heard rumours, but I never heard anything solid. You know?
So I'm just wondering, when you see Conor being so excited about boxing, I mean, he's got his boxing coaches there. I know you love boxing as well.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Right now, it's going off. You got Tyson Fury and all that stuff that's happening. It's almost like people are back on the.
Yeah, the boxing boxing scene is grown very nicely, and in the UK and stuff like that. Eddie Hearn is doing phenomenal stuff. Like he's putting on great fights as well. Fan favourite fights and fights that people want to see, which kind of died out for a while. Boxing, it was like, you have two champions that are fighting nobodies forever, but then they won't take the risk and fight each other. Now people are matching up straight off the bat, and it's great. It just has a good buzz. Yeah, and obviously Fury's over here now, and Wilder again, and the last fight was phenomenal. And I like Fury. I think he's phenomenal. So yeah, that's an exciting one as well. It's a dangerous one as well, because Wilder's he just hits so hard, but Fury's a clean, classy boxer. So it's a great contrast. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, well, I'm just wondering, by the way, hit the nail on the head. So fascinating. Can't wait to see those guys fight. But when it comes to Conor, a lot of people are saying, well, Floyd is looking maybe at making some more money. Why not make another? If someone came up to me and said, why not make another $200 million? I would say, well, you know what, maybe you have a point. I could do that, you know. And I know Conor's making, 80 mil for this one, but he would make a lot of money rematching Floyd.
He would make, I'd say he'd make a lot more money than he did in the first one as well, which is hard to even fathom, that kind of money. Do you know what I mean? But
I mean, when you look at that first fight, Conor had a lot of success against Floyd, and Conor even talks about the fact that he's pretty happy with how some of it went. Yeah. Would you be interested in seeing the rematch? And how different do you think the rematch would actually look compared to that first fight? Because Conor mentioned how he wasn't expecting Floyd to be so aggressive and move forward.
The pressure fight. We did go into the Floyd fight, and our thoughts was, right, you'll come straight out and he'll try and outclass you straight in the middle, and we were like, but you will slip shots and you will land. You're too quick for him. Like, I always say, Conor, you'd fire the gun at Conor and he'd still slip it. You know what I mean? His reactions are on a different level, So we thought, right, he's going to come out, he's going to try and outbox you in the middle, but when you slip and crack him, he'll start to sit back a little bit. You know what I mean? And then he'll play the Philly shell on the ropes. But I says we had strategies to get off the centre line and sneak around to the back and stuff like that, and Conor was having success there. But then he started putting the pressure on Conor, and he started walking, letting Conor hit the arms and stuff, and we just made mistakes, and we should have probably took rounds off and rested and hid behind the jab and just went on your bike for a little bit. But as you say, and even Conor said it, you learn valuable lessons from those mistakes. But Conor's different in the pocket now as well. And down with the guys in Crumlin, he's sitting down a lot more pro style, and he's capable of banging heavy shots now and pushing people back in the pocket. Also, while having the ability to be on the outside and use his longer range shots and be evasive. So it would most definitely be an exciting fight, without a doubt.
He's the man to finish Floyd Mayweather, you think, out of everyone that's ever sort of fought him? We've seen some great ones try, do you think?
Yeah, I would like to think so, most definitely.
I also love when in that Errol interview, Errol brought up the fact that, in order to fight for a boxing belt, Conor would have to have a series of fights, and he kind of went, nah.
It's deadly. That's Conor all over. He's just, he holds all the cards, but that's it. He just, that's gas.
We know what that's all about, and we will let you go shortly, Owen, because you've been very generous with your time, and it's a beautiful day here. You got better things to do than chat to us. But all these hypothetical scenarios, right? The Masvidals, the Usmans, Khabib rematch, all these kinds of things. It all only happens if you can get past Cerrone. And I guess I wouldn't go as far as to say that this is maybe the most important fight of his career, because he's obviously won world titles. But in a sense, do you feel like Conor's career is on a line here against Cerrone this weekend?
The thing is, Conor always puts it all on the line. Every fight is an all-in fight, and that's why everyone loves Conor. He doesn't shy away from it, and he's all in on everything. And it's a difficult fight against a difficult opponent that poses lots of threats. But for me, I just think that Conor is the better fighter. You know what I mean? And I think he can go in and get it done, and then on to the next one,
And just to clarify, I feel like, had he lost to, say, Eddie Alvarez, he wouldn't have been the double champ, but he still would have been the featherweight champ, right? And other big fights like that. But in this one, if he doesn't beat Cerrone, I feel like a lot of people will be, the questions would be, is Conor going to retire? Does he, still love the sport? In that sense, do you think it's kind of, a big stake for this fight against Cerrone?
Yeah, it's, it's high stakes, but that's the game he's in, and he's always at his best when it's all on the line. You know what I mean? That's where you see Conor at his best when it's all there for the taking. You know what I mean? And he'll go in and do it like he always does.
I love it. High stakes, Vegas, nice lawn here, the Owen Rodddy lawn here in Vegas. Nevada, the green.
You swear I know what I was talking about?
Welcome to Better Homes and Gardens. Owen's going to show us how to bury a plant. Is that what they call it, bury? I think I've got everything mixed up. Just quick, I want to talk about Nuka as well before we wrap up.
Lovely. Appreciate it.
But before we get to Nuka, he mentions this is the start of a season. I love it. He keeps mentioning it, the season. We've never really heard many fighters referring to a year of fights as a season, but for him, and I guess for the team as well, this is the beginning of a resurgence of Conor McGregor of being active. Let's say everything goes to plan here. Dana White is already kind of looking at potentially the Khabib-Tony fight not coming together. I feel like some fans are like getting ready for like putting poles in front of Tony's door just so that fight even comes together. But would you be in favor of Conor being the backup to that fight and doing a training camp leading into that fight in hopes that one of those guys doesn't make it? Yeah.
And well, Conor said himself as well. He's like, he could easily jump in on replacement if he wants to do that. You know what I mean? That I'm sure the Khabib fight will come down the line, whether it comes in March or whether it's Khabib out on Tony and he does, who knows? But Conor has the ability to do what he wants, so it's whatever he feels like doing. I'm behind Conor 100%. He wants to go in and fight 40 people in a row or 2 people in one night or anyone. I was like, okay, let's see what that entails and let's come up with a game plan. Because I've learned years and years ago not to doubt what Conor says, because when he says he's going to do something, he does it. You know, and he's all in. So when he says he's going to do something, I stand up and I go, all right, let's go for it.
It'll be the SBG pay-per-view. Owen Rodddy opening the show with some stand-up comedy. We've got
comedy, Jesus,
magic tricks from John Kavanagh in the middle, and then we've got.
I think I'd be bleeding, build off the stage, hit with a load of tomatoes, and trying to do comedy. I got good head movement, but like I can't avoid it all.
Don't sell yourself short, man. I was gonna.
Comedy's not my. That's not something I'd get into.
There's a couple of jokes we can work. I mean, we've been to some shows here on the Strip, and I'm sure you'll do a lot better than some of the things me and Casper have seen. Banned. Brad Garrett's Comedy Club. I'm sorry. So just quickly though, like it was in the camp that you guys wanted for the Khabib fight, and Conor still had quite a bit of success in some of those rounds, and he still looked pretty good, even though he wasn't 100%, and even though the training camp was this whole mishmash of him not being around and no real communication, and these like crazy guys coming in that you guys don't know, and he's like knocking them out. How he mentions it's important to him, but how important is it sort of to you to see that rematch happen with a healthy Conor McGregor that we see now, and how different would have that fight gone, in your opinion, if it was the Conor that's fighting this week and fighting Khabib over the Conor that fought him back then at UFC 229?
Yeah, I think Conor, the place Conor's in now, he's in a much better position, and it most definitely would be a different fight. But you can't know, what would happen or whatever. But I know if the Khabib fight comes up in the near future and we all go into camp again, I would like to think the outcome is going to be different. You know what I mean? I think Conor's he's in a much better place. We made some small mistakes in that fight that we've definitely corrected. So then it's go in and roll the dice again and see what comes up. But I know for a fact if Conor lands clean on the chin, he's gonna put Khabib away as well, like everyone else.
Before we get the official prediction for this weekend, obviously you got to talk about Nuka. Do you find it wild, obviously, that amateur MMA, it's something that it exists here in the States, but not really to the level that you've sort of dreamed of it and are working towards making it? Do you ever find it wild that sort of an Irishman is coming to the States and is going to be in a sense pioneering amateur MMA in the colleges?
Yeah, well, it's not only me. It's me and my business partner who's in Florida. The Nuka is an American company. And we put it in place for young kids that are young students that want to compete, that don't have that platform just yet. And there's no better platform than to put the sport into colleges and give all college students an opportunity to showcase their skills. So I'm very excited about it, and it's going to be a game changer for amateur mixed martial arts, and it's going to be a game changer for martial arts in general, for mixed martial arts in general, because young athletes are going to have the ability to compete very regular against high caliber opponents, and have huge experience before they try and make the big leagues and and head to the UFC or head to the bigger organisations, you know.
Yeah, it's fascinating. We were having some delicious ribs at Ellis Island last night, me, Casper, and all the rest of the media, and the topic came up, Owen Rodddy and his business partner, genius. This could be one of the... People don't realise this, especially outside of America, but the college sports system, a football game gets 80, 90,000. A soccer game, boxing, the amateur wrestling, huge down here. And if you're a college student and you had a chance to support your team by going down and watching the fights, obviously you would do it. So my question to you is, do you see it? Like, you were matchmaking in the house, and we were talking about, like, maybe one day there'll be this and that. So just sort of break down your vision just a little bit for us. Do you see it being in, you know, arenas of 20, 30,000 people, maybe, you know, scholarships, drafts,
most
some of the best in the world coming through?
That's exactly like we talked about. My mind is racing because, you know, the college scene, it's like a culture. You know, you've guys that have been in college in 40 years, like they're in their 50s, and they still go around with their UCF hoodie on because that's part of the culture. Whatever sport it is.
Brock Lesnar back in the training room over there in Minnesota, you know, just the other week.
They've obviously, it's, you know, it's the vibe in colleges over here is insane. And I visited UCF a while ago, and the scale, you know, they're mini cities. Like, you know, you've got a 60,000 seat or football stadium, and you got 25,000 indoor arena for basketball, and you know, so. You know, I see the colleges getting behind their athletes like they do no matter what the sport is. I see those athletes giving it everything to represent their college, to put their college on the map. And I see teams being formed and being built, and I see the sport growing immensely. And I do see drafts down the line. I do see, you know, the first ever amateur being drafted to the UFC because he's got 30 amateur fights, and he was the regional champion, and now he's the national champion, and he's getting drafted to the UFC. He's got 150,000 followers on Instagram. He's got a whole city and college behind him. Like, that's my vision. Now, whether it all goes that way, I don't know, but even if it's a small piece of that, man, it's great. And you know what, it's great for the sport. I mean, I gave my life to this sport, and it's gave me so much back. And you know, I would like to think that opportunity's there for everyone else as well.
Just finally on that, 2020, we've got the Olympics in Tokyo, and a lot of people are like, yeah, what do you got to do to get MMA into it? Because it's not really a thing. Like the Olympics, they're a funny thing. Like they'll put in a sport that no one really cares about, and they kind of look at, well, what's the interest in? What's going on? You turning this whole college thing on its head, doing this amateur MMA thing. Have you thought about the fact that could be that last final push that actually gets the sport into the Olympics?
Yeah, potentially. Yeah, you know, as I said, like there's big amateur organisations trying their best to do stuff for amateur MMA. You've got IMAF and stuff, doing huge things, mostly around Europe and stuff like that. And maybe we're the missing link over here in the US. I know UMAF which is the US version, are doing things on a small scale here. But maybe the college scene is the missing link, and if we can help build that and get the amateur sport to the Olympics, man. I mean, I can rest easy. I can say, like, Jesus, I came from a sport that I started in a shed with John Kavanagh as a kid, with like the roof leaking and, you know, roof falling in and everything, to being part of this huge organisation. I mean, you can't really ask for any more than that, can you?
And that'd be an incredible legacy for yourself as well, the Owen Rodddy legacy. A lot of things that are exciting on the radar. Obviously, Nuka. Obviously, you know, these potential matchups for Conor in the future. You know, maybe 170 belt, maybe Masvidal, maybe the Khabib rematch. But none of it happens if without this fight this weekend. Donald Cerrone this Saturday. We got to get the official Owen Rodddy prediction. I know you've given out a few, but this may be a final. And also, Conor, he's going to be 160 in there, right? He's not actually going to be 170. I heard him say 160 the other day in weight.
We'll see what he weighs in at. Yeah, but
keeping it a mystery. You don't want to give it away.
Yeah.
Sexy secrets.
I need to focus on my own weight, never mind his.
Jeez, you're looking fine, mate. Don't worry.
No, I haven't took a breath. I've held my stomach in since I'm speaking. It's 25 minutes. As soon as this goes off, I'm going to be like, oh, Jesus. Yeah, the prediction. I always, like, it's not really. I never give a different prediction. I always say Conor will go in. He'll look at the puzzle. He'll see openings. He'll look to land a shot. When the shot lands, he'll either be on his arse or he'll have the fear. And if he has the fear, Conor will smell blood and put him away. Now, whether that happens in the first minute or late in the first or into the second, I don't know. I think it will be early, but I still think Conor can do it at any time. But watch out for that moment, because it will come, you know.
Well, I was going to say stand-up comedian extraordinaire, gardening expert, the Owen
Come
Rodddy
see me
lawn.
in the Venetian or something like that.
But
Standing outside.
in all seriousness, man, what an honour to speak to you. The man that's going to be bringing amateur MMA to the next level, the man behind SBG Charleston, the man that's going to be in Conor McGregor's Conor this weekend at UFC 246 on Roddy. Always an honour speaking to you, sir. Thank you so much.
We don't catch up as much as we should.
I know. Thank you so much for having us at the Owen Mansion. Is that what we're calling it?
No, I don't know who. I'm over here.
I'm happy that all the.
I'm over there in the caravan. I'm just after jumping into this.
Well, I was going to say I'm happy that all the naked women could stand on this side of the camera for the interview because.
Imagine.
Okay, sorry.
My wife was coming out Friday straight. Boom.
I mean, the people in the seats.
Kelly, they were joking.
Thank you so much, Owen.
Yeah, no, but I appreciate it, guys. Thank you. Great chat.
Awesome.